Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. It is September 7th. So, thank you for joining me today. As most of you know, I was away last week. I was attending the funeral of a very dear cousin of mine in Toronto. I passed on to her family the condolences that had been extended to me and by extension to her. And she was very, very touched and very grateful. So I just wanted to let you know that all of those prayers and good thoughts and wishes and light are received and appreciated. Okay, so now just because of kind of what was going on last week, I really didn't pay a lot of attention to what was going on in the world outside of my world. But there are a few things. In fact, this whole week feels like I'm going to do a bit of a lot of little catch-up readings and try to figure out what the heck is going on here. So when I left, there was still no definitive results from the Arizona audit. And I guess the head of the ninja accounting firm, or whatever the heck they were, auditing firm, has vanished. Sort of nobody knows where he is. He was sick and then he's just gone and nobody seems to know what's happening there. So that's kind of an interesting situation. I think I'm going to take a quick peek at that. I also want to take a look at the Southern District of New York's Trump Organization criminal investigation, because it seems that there's things that are heating up there. Apparently, they've now gone after Calamari's son, who is also some sort of an executive or another at that Trump organization. So I want to take a look at that. I also want to take a look today at the Biden slump. So, it's an interesting thing, right? Because my understanding is the vast majority of Americans wanted to get out of Afghanistan. And then Trump made this absolutely insane deal and left it to Biden to clean up the mess. So Biden steps in and does what he does because the buck stops with him. And he cleans it up to the best of his ability and under incredibly difficult circumstances. And now everybody's mad at Biden because he did it. So I'm a little confused, but that's creating the slump. So I want to take a quick look at that and see what we can see about that. And if this slump is actually going to impact him or hurt him in any significant way. So let's start with the that ridiculous audit in Arizona. And let's just see, and these are going to be sort of mini readings, right? So let's just see if we can see what is going on later in the week, like the next video, unless something derails it. I want to be taking a look at Joe Manson and what's going on there. I want to take a look at the filibuster. I want to take a look at the voting rights legislation. So here we go. But for right now, let's take a look at the ninja audit. Come on down. I have a question. Oh, there's Nova. Well, there was Nova. Okay, here we go. Information Arizona audit, information Arizona audit, information Arizona audit. Here we go. Okay, so they've done everything they can do. Okay, I mean, I don't know, maybe some of them are still running around looking for bamboo paper, but they've done what they can do. And the guy who owns this company or is running this thing, he He's a lot of like bluster and talk, but he's one of those people who says what he thinks his clients want to hear. Okay. I wouldn't actually go so far as to say this guy actually believed what he was saying, but for him, this was a great way to boost his company's name, line its coffers, that kind of thing. He comes across, or he presents, as sort of like, no nonsense. I'm the guy. Well, he's not. I mean, everybody knows this guy is a little like wackadoodle, but it's like his shtick, okay? It's what he does. So they really tried really, really hard to find anything that would prove that that election was stolen, that there was a lot of irregularities and illegal activities connected to it. Well, they couldn't find it. And so now what's happened is not only do the people who were hired by him, I'm not talking about the people in the Arizona stadium or whatever that place was. I'm talking about like the guys who were hired to prove something about computers, the way computers log things, but they couldn't find anything. And so slowly but surely, what you're finding out is they don't have the goods. And because they don't have the goods, there's now a problem, right? Because the problem is they're trying to avoid exposure. They're trying to avoid having to kind of come out and say that, well, there wasn't anything there. And so the fact that this guy has sort of vanished kind of isn't surprising, right? He, that whatever that guy's name is, I'm sorry, I probably should have looked it up, but honestly, I don't like to give these kinds of people more of my focus and attention than I want to. So he's sitting with a difficult position going forward, right? Because he recognizes that, his company's name, such as it is on the line. There's other lucrative contracts that may have been in the works, and that's sort of now in jeopardy. So don't be surprised if he is back in the news again, if there's more information about this mysterious disappearance. For a while there, he was sick with the shall not be named virus. But the reality is the situation feels very fraught. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the moon came up in this reading, the card, the moon, because that's exactly what it is. And so what you have going on now is there's a lot of friction and tension because basically nobody is like helming the ship. And so the people, the workers, are kind of in a place where they really, really don't know what to say or how to go forward, because that announcement that they made about him being sick was met with so many questions and people demanding answers and explanations, and they didn't have them. They didn't have them to give. So there's a lot of stress and tension behind the scenes there. So I guess the question is, are we actually ever going to get any results? Or are they just kind of hoping that this whole situation sort of just fades into the woodwork and people kind of forget that there was this big audit going on in Arizona for 6 months? Well, there's no there, okay? And it doesn't matter how hard they looked, they're not going to find it because it doesn't exist and it's not there. I wouldn't be surprised if they make some sort of a crazy announcement, because there's a part of it that just needs to push forward, but I don't see it accomplishing anything or going anywhere. It very much feels like they don't have the goods. They know they don't have the goods, and they know that they're not going to be able to stand up to the scrutiny. It doesn't matter how much they wanted to bastardize the information, to slant it, to make it look like there was something going on that wasn't going on, to kind of bully their way through. They're discovering that they're not being given the kind of, I guess, leeway that maybe they thought they would. That's what happens when you immerse yourself in right-wing media. You forget, I guess, that there's this whole other segment of the population out there that is demanding legitimate answers, not speculation, not numbers made up, not kind of crazy, stupid ideas that nobody understands, like bamboo and paper. But you forget that there's that world out there who really is going to objectively want to see the goods. And when you don't have them, you just don't have them. So there's that. Let's quickly ask the pendulum. Okay. So my question is this. Is there ever going to be sort of a major announcement or presentation pertaining to the results of the Arizona audit? Are we ever actually going to get anything from that? Yeah, no, absolutely no. Okay, and so then the next question is, is Arizona at some point going to be able to certainly correct and pay for the damage that has been done in terms of voting machines and information that was released and compromised? They're going to have to foot that bill? Yeah, they are. And are there likely to be the same kinds of audits? I know there's talk of it happening, but are other states likely to go ahead with this same kind of audit based on the results of Arizona? So no. Now, that doesn't mean that these Republican people in Republican states are going to throw up their hands and say, oh my God, it was all a sham. We can't believe we were taken. They're not. They're just going to quietly sort of let things drift away. And are we likely to see, I don't know the guy's name, Spirit knows, the owner of that auditing company, is he going to surface, let's just say, in the next 6 weeks? Are we going to hear hide nor hair of him in the next 6 weeks? Yes. Okay. Has his health been in jeopardy? Yes. Okay. You will notice I didn't say, has he been sick? Just pointing that out. Okay. Let's move on to the Southern District of New York. That would be Cy Vance's investigation. Now, he's retiring at the end of December. And so, I guess there's a need or desire for him to get this thing wrapped up. Now, it's not obviously going to go to completion, but I think he wants to be in a position by then that sort of the ducks are all in a row and the vast majority of charges have been laid, etc., etc. I'm going to ask the pendulum a couple of questions before we get started, because really at the bottom of it, and this is the thing, this is a big deal, okay? It doesn't maybe feel like it, but it's a big deal, because if they are able to prove that there were the kind of shenanigans going on with corporate benefits that were never taxed, this isn't about, I don't know, a couple of $100 something or another. This is about 15 years or more of fraud, just absolute fraud. And all of these little players played a role in that fraud. And so, this is a big deal. Let's ask some questions first, shall we? Pendulum. Are we going to hear, in the month of September, are we going to hear additional indictments coming down pertaining to people connected to the Trump org? Yes. Okay. Are those indictments going to reach high enough within the people of the organization to actually find members of the Trump family indicted? Okay. And is that likely to include some or all of the Trump children? In the month of September, is Donald Trump going to be indicted by the Southern District of New York pertaining to the Trump Organization criminal investigation? No. Now, don't everybody panic. It was a very specific question. Are we likely to see Donald Trump indicted in that investigation before the end of the year? Yes. So, strategically, it sort of sounds as if they're going to start going after the kids, maybe in a clump or one at a time, I guess to see if they can get them to flip, or if they can get enough information, because we know these guys aren't very smart and they like to yak. And see if they can turn on daddy or get additional information that would help the investigation. Is this investigation going to result in guilty pleas or findings of guilt? Yes. Okay. So let's see what the cards would like to say about that. Here we go. Southern District of New York, Trump investigation. Southern District of New York, Trump investigation. SDNY Trump investigation. Okay, so understand this. This is a really big investigation. And the intention behind this investigation is not just to slap some people on the wrist for misbehaving. The intention behind the investigation is to bring down that organization. It is to shut it down. It is to demolish it. So there is a lot. First of all, it's a really big investigation, and there's a whole lot of moving parts to this thing. Also, they are, dotting their I's and crossing their T's and doing everything that they need to do. This thing is so by the book, it like screams, rules and regs, okay? They're not going to do anything that would cause any sort of a slip up, right? Where somebody ends up getting away from something because they didn't do something right, okay? And like Cy Vance is like really pushing this, right? It's like, get it right, get it firm, we need to take this down. So not only is there this idea of it's time to bring this corrupt organization to its knees, but there's also that aspect of, and we're going to use this as a bit of an example to other people. So, question, I just got a quick. Is this being handled? Is this being handled like a RICO investigation? Yes. Okay. And are there going to be sort of, I guess, RICO type charges? I'm not real versed in law, as you can probably tell, that come forward from this. Yes. Okay. So they're not looking to do like a slap on the wrist. They're looking to shut this thing down. And so, if it's going to take a little bit of time, we all just have to be really patient. And we also have to understand that there's a whole lot going on behind the scenes quietly that we really don't know about. We don't have clarity on, it's not being talked about. But trust me, they are applying enough pressure. The Southern District of New York is applying enough pressure that people are really, really starting to panic, okay? They are starting to ask themselves if they're making too big a sacrifice. Because slowly but surely, people are starting to figure out, because some of them are a little slow, that he's not going to regain the presidency, which means he's not going to have any power. Which means if you're loyal to him, there's not really a whole lot he can do to reward you. And in fact, history shows that even if you are loyal to him, he doesn't reward you. He doesn't care. It is his expectation of your behavior. So people are starting to actually ask themselves, whoa, maybe we've sacrificed too much. Yeah. So, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot more to be found out, but there is a lot they already know that we don't know. It looks as if there is, and I don't know where this is coming from. It could be from the Southern District, but it looks as if there is some serious investigations going on about business contacts or connections across the sea with other countries, and whether those were on the up and up or not. And you also have this Queen of Swords. I'm feeling like this is a specific person. I don't know who this is at the moment, but it is someone that is going to be receiving information or sharing information. And that in and of itself is almost going to create another level of investigation or add to an existing one. At the bottom of it all, people who are being investigated, in some ways, are really blind. They don't see how serious it is. They don't understand that no matter what side of the equation they fall on, they're in trouble. They don't get it yet. In part because these people have been so used to being Teflon. Nothing sticks. They can wiggle their way out of it. And so they think they can wiggle their way out of this, and that just doesn't look like it's likely to happen because, here comes justice. And the news isn't going to be good, and it's going to cause a lot of stress and strain and anxiety. I actually think that you're going to have more people who are kind of going like, I can't take this anymore. I just need to come clean. And, it's an interesting thing, right? Because there's that core group, right, of people like right in the inside of the organization who are really connected to all of these dirty dealings. But I'm reminded of Michael Cohen. So he gave and he gave and he gave, but he didn't give everything. And because he didn't give everything, he really didn't end up getting the best deal that he could have. Now, it feels very much like that same energy. And, people may want to flip and may give the investigators a lot of stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they themselves are going to end up with a really sweet deal. Because by and large, there's so much corruption there. And honestly, they're not going to be that anxious to sort of spill all the beans. But there's definitely stuff coming down the pike. You're going to hear news, and the people involved, those who are being investigated, are more and more, as the days go by, going to really actually start understanding that they are in trouble. And as far as the Southern District of New York and their investigations, that they are going to find success in their endeavors, and they are going to be able to cause people to lose and to have to walk away from the beliefs, the lifestyles, et cetera, et cetera. So honestly, it feels like a lot of the people connected to this are really going to find themselves in a place where they're I don't even know what to call it. They're sort of entitlement, their sense of entitlement is really going to be shaken. And they're going to discover that, in fact, they're really, really not entitled. And that thing, that is sort of just coming to an end. Okay? Now, I want to take a look at Joe Biden. Okay, so bit of a slump. Hey, Twyla. A bit of a slump for Joe. You know, and not only is there the Afghanistan thing, but honestly, he's really, really pushing uphill with the whole vaccination situation. There's still resistance. The fourth wave has taken hold. And you have, you know, those red states that maybe slowly some of them are turning the corner, but by and large, you know, they did such a good job promoting the lies about, you know, about the virus and about the effectiveness of the vaccine, of masks, of social distance. They did such a good job at Trump's beck and call that now, frankly, they're having trouble convincing those same people that they brainwashed that the story has changed, okay? And so you've got problems there, right? Okay. All right, here we go. How is Biden doing? How is Biden doing? How is Biden doing? Okay. So this is one of the things that you the bank when it comes to Joe Biden. For as much of a political animal as he is, he's been in this game for decades. He's not some novice. He knows how it goes. He knows the rules. He knows how the games are played. And so the decisions he's making have been soul-searched. They have been contemplated. They have been prayed over. And he makes decisions not only with the input of other people, but also based on his own experience, his own thoughts, his own morals, his own standards. And so, unlike the previous occupant, the decisions he makes really are in the best interest of those he is defending and protecting, and those whose care and safety is under his umbrella, which is the United States, the whole country, and all the people in it. So know that where he's coming from is still rock solid, okay? Now, it's interesting because there's going to be some news coming out um, that is going to start changing the tide in terms of his popularity. He's going to start making a bit of a comeback, if you will, because there's sort of nothing flaky about him. And what you're going to find is there's going to be more messages, more information coming out that is really going to show that not only him, but the administration is on the game. They're working on it. They're doing everything they can to get all of it pushed forward, not just one or two things, okay? Make no mistake, there is a lot riding on the infrastructure deal, and there's a lot riding on the voting rights deal. And he is incredibly, incredibly mindful of that, okay? He knows he's carrying a really, really heavy burden. But he also is very confident in the fact that, you know, what goes down must come up. And he's feeling like behind the scenes, they really, really are moving forward again in ways that we, the public, do not necessarily see. But make no mistake, his presidency was always intended to bring back abundance, to bring back prosperity, to put people in places where there is more safety and security. And that is like from one end of the spectrum to the other. And of course, he can't do it all, okay? He really can't. But boy, they sure are giving it a good shot. And again, his motivations, his thought processes remain true. Now, is he discovering a little bit that things are not quite as gentlemanly as they used to be? That there is really no coming together of the two sides? Yeah, he is. And in some ways, he's saddened by it. But he is also starting to really, really understand the dynamics of how badly that fabric is shredded in the middle and coming apart. Ultimately, he is going to be judged as sort of one of the history is going to judge him as a president who brought the United States back from the abyss. Okay? And so this is a good thing. All right? His promise, the promise of his presidency, is absolutely going to be upheld. One of the things that he's needing to work on and is working on is sort of relationships with leaders outside of his country, because there is sort of a little, there's a lot of gratitude, I guess you could say, relief that they're not dealing with that other guy. But there's also a sense of, wow, your country was virtually brought to its knees. It's great that you're going to try to reverse that, but we need to see proof that it's actually getting reversed. So he still has some work to do with other countries. Everybody's wishing him well. Make no mistake. Everybody's really supporting him. But, once bit, twice shy. Other countries are watching him and they're going, okay, let's see what you do. He is really, really struggling with the whole misinformation thing, right? I mean, there is so much misinformation out there. And in some ways, he feels like he's just perpetually pushing back against the insanity about the people who don't know what the hell they're talking about, but who are buying into the nonsense. I mean, my God, you have people in the United States who are hell-bent and determined to put horse medicine in their bodies. And I don't remember what state it was, but there was some state somewhere where some judge ruled that the medical profession has to prescribe this nonsense. Now, I'm sure that that's getting appealed and whatever, but the reality is that's how twisted things are, and that's the level of disinformation that he is trying to fight against. So it's not only disinformation about COVID. It's not only disinformation about the election. It's disinformation about Afghanistan. It's disinformation about voting rights. It's disinformation about the infrastructure bill. Everywhere he turns, there are fabrications and lies being told. So what you're going to see in the next little while is a push to really, really start defending it, to really calling out the other guy and saying, you know what, enough, like really enough. You guys need to, if you're not going to tell the truth, we're going to shut you down. We are going to make sure that everyone knows you're a liar. And so you can anticipate that happening through the fall. I don't see it kicking up gear just yet, but I want to say October, November, December, you're going to really see a push of enough is enough. We're going to start calling you guys out every time you turn around. And that's going to be coming not only from the administration, but by other organizations, whether it's like the Lincoln Project or whatever it is, but there's other components, other people coming together, and they're really, really going to start pushing this message about this nonsense, this crap has to stop with all the lies and the disinformation. And they're going to start to come out swinging. And, you know, this is the thing. Understand, I saw something, I think just this morning, that Lauren Boebert is really losing popularity with her own people. So she's losing ground a little bit. And it also sounds like her district may very well get what is that called when you redraw the districts? And she may end up in a very Democratic area. And so she could just be gone. You also have a couple of other Republicans with big mouths who say stupid stuff who are now starting to get called out by their own constituents, by their own hometown newspapers, by the media. And so, you know, the pushback has started, but you really can anticipate that it is going to get stronger and stronger because there's a growing awareness of just how dangerous this is. And everybody knew it was dangerous, but this is more about the toxicity and literally the fact that lives continue to be in jeopardy and jeopardized. And people are hitting a saturation point where they just need it to stop. Okay. At some point, there's going to be a bigger awareness. Now, listen, the hardcore people are the hardcore people, and they're never going to believe anything else. But more and more information is going to come out proving that the lie was exactly that, and that needs to sort of be put to rest. But more than that, that it needs to be protected against going forward, okay? So there is going to be a push to do what can be done legislatively to ensure that what happened before doesn't happen again. But I have to tell you, the midterms are really, really important because without the midterms and a big win for the Democrats in the midterms, they're going to have a very hard time getting their message out. So, you know, I guess it's time for people who were so exhausted with that other guy. And Biden got in and everybody was like, oh my God, thank God I can actually breathe. I can just breathe. It's time for people to kick back into gear and recognize those midterms are a year away. And you have to start getting the work done now, because if you don't, the people who were so opposed to that other guy and came out to vote in droves may not turn out to vote in droves again if they don't understand how critical the midterm is to things continuing to heal in the country. And that's just the hard, cold reality. If people become complacent now, the midterms are going to be a disaster for the Democrats. And honestly, they do not need to be. Energetically, they are not supposed to be. But you know, it's all about free will, right? It is all about people making choices that hugely impact how things go forward. And if some of those choices include people kind of going, oh, well, you know, it's all fine now, I don't have to stay engaged, then you really are going to run into some trouble. And it needs to start right now. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for the support, all of the encouragement. I am so grateful. I appreciate it so, so much. For anybody who has sent me a message, an email, whatever, in the last week or so, you should have gotten a reply by now, because I sort of kicked into that yesterday. So if you're out there and you haven't heard back from me, send me another message, okay? Because I thought I've got them all. And right now I am booking readings for the beginning of October. And so if you're interested in that, if you go into the drop box below, it will give you an email address, soulprint888@gmail.com, where you can send me a message to get the details on how that all works. Until next time, take care, be well. We'll see you really, really soon. Bye-bye.